right, everybody. Let's do an audio and visual check. How's everybody doing? Welcome to Slow Markets. How about you, Coach Jay? Let's do an audio check on you as well.
I'm doing good, Dakota. Doing good, Coach Dakota. How are you? Check, check. Hopefully we sound good, look good.
Looks and sounds good for me. Let's give them a second to type in the chat on everything. Make sure we look and sound good. We got some things figured out before starting the stream with the audio visual. You can see we have Coach Jay's charts in the background, trying to get it so it looks a little bit better. We're going to continue to work on that throughout. Maybe next week we'll have it, pinpoint for the guest charts. But until then, let's go ahead and switch to my charts and start Slow Markets. Good evening, everybody. As always, there is our Topstep risk disclosure in the YouTube chat. Anything that we are talking about tonight is for educational purposes only. Repeat, it's not a signals class. We all know how it goes. And as always, we'll do the rapid fire, analyze these different markets. We'll switch over to gold at 8 p.m. Central, see if we can have a good gold trade set up. And then we could talk more about the 100 tick chart. We have Coach Jay here. Bounce some ideas off of him, and then we'll finish with some trader statistics. I love going over trader statistics with you, Coach Jay. Last time we had some great back and forth reviewing some trader stats, and I really liked it. And if you'd like us to review your trader statistics, there is the link. There's the link to the Discord channel and my Discord channel in Topstep's Discord. Go ahead and just copy paste right here, performance stats. Just copy the link, share it, and share it in that channel in the Topstep Discord. That being said, here we go again, Coach Jay. We broke that 8-day win streak by a tiny bit and a green day. And here we are on track for possibly another green day. How are you seeing these markets? I mean, I'm as big of a bull as anybody, as you could imagine, but this market is it's difficult. As a bull, you want to see at least more consolidation or some type of a pullback that we've seen on some of these rallies. As you can see, couple day sell-off, some pullback, some consolidation. We've seen a lot of that in February and March, but not lately. It's since basically August 7th, August 8th. It's just been, 3,000, almost 3,000 points to the face, 2,500 points straight up.
Yep.
Next area we're going to be talking about, and I think we've been talking about, everyone sees it. Everyone knows what we're going to be talking about is the 20,000 level.
The major 20,000. I think
you see that 200 lots right there in the DOM, real quick. Sorry.
I did not see that.
On NQ, look at that. Look, 200
what
lots.
Price?
At 940.
Interesting. Okay, well, we are about to have an interesting slow markets.
Yeah, let's zoom in. Let's watch that. I'm curious to see. That is interesting to see in the middle of the night. 250 lots almost. Sitting there at 240. Why would that be? I mean, you read the order book a whole lot better than I can. So
very interesting to see that right now.
Thoughts on this?
Very interesting to see that right now. Let's see if it actually trades out. Yeah, I'm surprised to see that at this time. And if it does trade out, that's a level that you want to keep on your charts for the rest of the session, right? If anyone's able to trade that amount of size at this time of night where we're not accustomed to seeing that size trading, then they had intentions behind that position, right? They filled it for a reason, didn't care about the time, didn't care about what other orders might be there. So let's just watch that one, 19,940.
Yeah, 19,940. They just put it in too. Like as we started the stream, right at 7:38 Central, we had that nice little spike up to 941, and now there's 249 contracts. Can you see how many contracts were traded on your chart? Like, was there a big volume spike there?
All the volume that I'm seeing right now at that price so far for the session is 167 contracts that traded there. I might pull up Quantower just to see some delta numbers. But what's really interesting is we had this gap from July 23rd right? July 23rd going into the 24th, we had this gap down that I have marked out on my charts right now. Where that order is at the highs of this gap, right? The high of the gap is 19,948. So very interesting that order is sitting out there. We know in order to create the gap, we had to have some selling in this area, and that is a passive sell. Now, we don't know the intentions behind that sell order, whether they're selling to open or close, but someone is looking to sell in that gap area, which is really interesting.
Yeah, market's afraid of it. There's people are not wanting to buy. Oh, it just moved down.
They just
939.
moved it down. Yep.
It moved down to 939. This is going to be interesting to watch during slow markets.
Yes, it is.
Something's changed. We're traders first, and that is now something we're going to be talking about. So much for rapid fire. Maybe what I could do is I'll go through this, and if you want to keep your eye on that, Coach Jay, from 939, let me know if something happens. I'm going to go ahead and switch back to my charts. You guys could see it there, 939 here on the NASDAQ. I'm going to go through the rapid fire, and if anything change, actually, you know what? Maybe we could just, as you watch it, Coach Jay.
Before you hit that rapid fire, the other potential opportunity that might just be MP saying what's up in the house account. That's MP's version of saying what's up during slow markets. But go ahead, let's get into these markets.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be interesting. They moved it down a little bit. It's going to be interesting to watch how it plays out, whether it gets filled tonight, whether they're just going to push it down. I know filling 200 lots right now would push the market pretty far down. Maybe it would push it, 50 points, just trying to find, liquidity to fill. We'll watch it. But as we do that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to rapid fire. Just stop me if something does happen on that order. I'll keep the order up on my chart as well. But back to the daily chart, as we were talking about, just straight up here in the NASDAQ. We got a little bit of a consolidation, a little bit of a pullback for one day. We're back, by the dips. Just buy, close your eyes and buy. The next area I could see us getting to, of course, is going to be that 20,000 level. And there was a lot of resistance up here in those 20,000s, between 20,000 and, dare I say, like 20,080. So there's a key area of resistance. There's a lot. I mean, it's a big psychological number. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of chop around 19,900 to 20,100. It's a 200-point, very big consolidation that we've seen in basically the beginning of July, end of July. Just whenever we get around here, we've been chopping it up. So as a bull, I am looking for maybe a bigger pullback, maybe back down towards the 800s again. We were talking before we got on screen. We have a news event tomorrow, and maybe we just kind of go sideways until then, and maybe the news event will push us. Dare I say, maybe we hit the news event, we come up, we break 20,000, and then immediately we sell right back off. I mean, we've seen that before, right? Here's a good example where maybe this was news driven. We have a nice spike up, and then we get that pullback. We've seen that before. We've seen it a few times. Usually the market does need to make a run of liquidity before having a pullback. Sometimes it's going to be something I'm aware of. Thoughts on that? And then we'll go ahead and zoom into an hourly chart.
Yeah, so above that 20K, we know 20K, super psychological number. Everyone's paying attention to it. It's not going to be an easy level to hold above with low volume, right? So what you're saying, right, maybe we peak above it and then come back down. This entire move up, we've been talking about it a little bit, has been happening on lower volume. So as we approach this 20K, get above this 20K, if we're not seeing the convinced buyers to say we need to stay above that level, then I think we could see it come back down, right? It's not just, we breach 20K and then we make all-time highs at 21,000. It could be the case, but there are some levels in there, right? I'm looking at 20,080, 20,100, 20,250. Looking at these areas as, we still need to see some buyers come into this market and push it at this time, right? I think the buy program is in effect, but this may not be the move to do it. And we'll watch, how the market responds once we get above that 20K.
Yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I'm expecting the market consolidate. I know, shout out to Dobie. He's such a range trader, and that's kind of what I'm looking at and expecting. We had that big sell off this morning, and then we did go down and broke 1800. We did break 1800 during the New York session, but then right back up above 900. We're sitting around 930. We're at the top of this range. And if you are a range trader, that could be something to pay attention to, where, instead of looking for that break of 20,000, which I'm sure everybody is looking at, maybe the trade could very well be a cheap trade up here into these 930s, 940s, somewhere up at the higher end, and then look for a rotation right back down towards 19,800s between now and tomorrow. We know that the markets can move a lot at night, and I'm expecting consolidation. I know it's very difficult. It's difficult to take short trades in this type of a market, but if I was to take a short trade, it would be up here at the upper end of this range or this zone. The daily high of the New York session was,
I think you're still sharing my charts, Dakota.
9040. Oh, yep, there we go. There it is. There it is. But anyway, yeah, here's that consolidation, right, where we have the highs and lows. We're inside that, and definitely we could look at maybe some cheap shorts up here at this higher end is what I'm looking at, and as a possibility to where we could have that rotation back down to 19,800. But until then, I don't want to buy this. Maybe you want to have a breakout up to 20,000, but then the risk reward is not that great. You'd have to have a tight stop. But if I'm going to be holding a trade long overnight, I'll have a tight stop maybe at the bottom of the 1 hour candle. I'm not sure. The risk reward to me is for the short side. If you're brave enough to short this kind of a market, we've been rallying since then. We've had a lot of momentum. Other than that, we'll switch over to crude oil if you don't have anything else on the NASDAQ, Coach Jay.
Yep, I'm good for now. Like you said, trade location is really important, especially in range bound markets. I was a buyer in the ES today and ended up taking a loss just with poor trade location. So trade location is going to matter still, even if the market looks like it's trending higher on the higher time frame. So take your trades, manage your risk, and we'll go from there. You switching over to crude?
Yep, let's switch over to crude. And part of kind of what MP and the team's doing during the New York session and during the daytime was just weeding out all of the crap that comes into the chat, where once again we are coaches first talking about these markets. It's for educational purposes only. And you guys see, I am in a combine account. During the New York session, during times of where I'm actually trading, I will be in an express funded account or even my live account. Like I said, Coach Jay is the same thing, where we are here analyzing the markets. It is not a signals class. So that being said, once again, here is crude oil, and we have been in quite the bearish market. Since we hit $80 a barrel, we've completely sold off. I've been looking for an area to short this market, but it has not given me a bigger pullback that I was wanting. It's just been, complete selling off, lower highs, lower lows. Maybe there is an opportunity now that I'm looking at it from a pattern standpoint, where we do make a pullback, and then the next one is just a little bit lower of a high, and then we continue to sell off. On this daily chart, one price target that I am looking at, Coach Jay, is around this $68 a barrel. If we do continue to break down, it's been selling off very hard, and is it going to stop? I mean, it's been 4 or 5 days in a row of just selling off, and we're now breaking these lows, and 68s are very realistic now in crude oil.
Yeah, I agree. Coach Paul and I were talking about that a little bit during At the Buzzer. I think you just said the forbidden price of $80 in crude oil for whatever reason. Anytime crude trades at $80, it is a difficult level to trade. And on a higher time frame, 70s right there, and then the lows, if we're looking on a daily, right around 68. I'm going to watch that reaction to 70, of course. But yeah, this is a market that's in a downtrend. We're coming into the demand area. I think that the downtrend, at least from a technical perspective, is near its lows, right? Where we might be if I'm in a swing trade, I'm looking to potentially take profits here because of how the market has reacted prior to these prices. But there's still some room down for a day trade, 100%.
Yeah, it's hard. This is a hard market to trade as well in terms of, where do we want to get in short, where do we want to get in long, and then even as I start to look at the hourly chart, right, where we haven't had much of a bounce. I mean, we had this nice rally that sure we could have been able to find an opportunity to short it, but we didn't rally enough to get to a key level of resistance. The way that I was looking at the market anyway, I was looking to see if we could get up to 74.60s, up these higher ends. We didn't get there. We immediately sold off. And then again, we had a nice little rally. And sure enough, we didn't really get to any like area that I was wanting, and it looked attracted to short. It just immediately started to break up and then completely sold off. And maybe there's some argument to try and take a breakdown trade where we're getting into a short as we're breaking down. That would be more realistic. I'm not brave enough to do that, especially since we've sold off so far so fast, because with anything in crude oil, any headline could come in and just push this market dramatically higher. And then the strike, right? I think Topstep, JD and the team was talking about there's a strike going on in Canada, some logistics that is also adding fuel to this fire to the short side and continuing to cause a lot of bearish pressure on this market. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything else. Nothing that looks too attractive to me. Maybe we did get that bounce and we're continuing to sell off. I'm not seeing anything, really close to find longs or shorts in this market. There's just a lot of support all the way down to maybe the $68 a barrel.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Coach Paul was talking about there being a ton of supply in crude oil as well. I think
you were muted. I didn't notice. I'm not going to charge you $5. Hey. I'm over here. I'm like, okay, you know what? Coach Jay's just not talking. Okay, I'll try and make something
I just have nothing to say about crude. No, but yeah, I agree with the analysis. I'm looking at 68s. I think, like you said, 68s. But again, do you short it here? Because you're kind of shorting in the hole.
Yeah.
Right, where the market could very well just bounce from here as well.
I mean, nothing too amazing. Nothing really popping out on crude. Next market. Let's just go ahead. We are a little bit behind. We have 6 minutes till the gold open. Let's go ahead. Not gold open. The 8 p.m. Central time that we're looking to trade. Nikkei, very similar to the NASDAQ. Kind of going hand in hand. We're just kind of consolidating up and to the right. Very bullish, right? Higher lows, continuing to make higher highs. Maybe we're forming a wedge pattern to where if we do break up, we could see these, 29,000 or 39,000. What is that? Maybe 39,200, 39,300 break up to the long side. Or I would still like a nice pullback. I'm just really bullish on these markets, but I do not want to be buying until we get more consolidation or until we start to get a bigger pullback. On the hourly chart, that was the 4 hour. On the hourly chart, it's looking even more bullish, right? We're having these nice buy the dip opportunities every time we sell off. Very much like last night. Last night was another one where if we were brave enough to buy down here, that was just another buy the dip opportunity. Again today during the New York session, and now we're starting to break up into these highs, breaking out of this resistance, and we're at 38,275. I could see a lot of bullish momentum carrying us back up. I'm actually liking 38,740s, 770s, those mid 38,700s.
Don't focus on the Nikkei too much. It looks a lot like the NASDAQ chart.
Yeah.
Right now,
yeah.
Where and like the NASDAQ and not as much as the ES, where the ES, it looks like it's broken through a lot of the upside levels that we had, where the Nikkei still looks like it has some catch up to do. So you were saying 38.7?
Yeah, 38,700.
Yeah. Yeah, that's where that sell-off started.
Fair enough. I
The
mean,
the
and that's
second
all I
leg of it.
have on the Nas or the Nikkei as well. Very similar to the NASDAQ. We had that huge sell off. We're pulling back. Now to gold. You trade gold, right, Coach Jay? You've
Yes, I
been
do.
kind of we followed along on this. 8 p.m. Central. We have a few questions. Why do we focus on gold at 8 p.m.? The only reason we focus on gold at 8 p.m. Central is that we're seeing a spike in volatility. We see a spike in volatility every single night at 8 p.m. and it's provided some really great opportunities for a trade. And I've just been placing a trade and doing some hypotheticals, theoreticals in terms of where do we put our stop loss, where do we put our take profits, do we trail it, do we keep our stop losses where it's at, and it's been pretty well. This week, what we've been doing, Coach Jay, is we've been looking for an initial move, so an initial reaction, and then usually right around 10 minutes after 8 p.m. Central, we see a reversal. It worked really well last night, and we're going to see if we could try and do it again tonight. Let's see if we could wait for an initial move at 8 p.m. Central, and then try and get in a reversal around 10 minutes after. But this market's bullish. It's really bullish. One of my longer term targets here in gold is 2,600. And this is very similar to the markets that we've all been seeing on NASDAQ, Nikkei. ES is just buy the dips at higher lows, higher highs. Very much today during the New York session, we did sell off down to 25.28s. And it was another buy the dip. And here we are in a very similar situation. We had that nice rally. We pulled back. We're sitting around 25.50s. This can be a nice area of support. We're right there in the zone consolidating. So if we do break up, I could immediately see us seeing 57s. If we break above that, maybe a test of the highs into and up towards 70s. Thoughts on that? I'm going to try and get my charts and get ready for the 8 p.m. open or the 8 p.m. trade.
I was just framing some stuff out here. We did have during the New York session right around 1 p.m. Central Time, there was a high volume spike that we had that we're kind of trading in right now. The high of that candle is 25.51.5. The low is 25.47. And outside of a quick rally up and trade back into it, we chopped around in that range for a little while. And have been in those prices. So right now I'm looking at, how does the market respond at the extremes of that volume that came in?
Right. Yeah, I'm seeing that. Yeah, trading the extremes, especially in this type of a market condition.
Yep.
Yeah, just taking a look real quick. We still have a minute before we open. And if you guys have questions, just type them in the chat and we'll try and get to them. We have some moderators who's able to feed us some of the questions that we are going through. But yeah, we're going to focus on gold. Immediately right now, what I'm looking at, going back to my charts, I'm zoomed into the 5 minute. Of course, I want to prefer is going to be to the long side. So if we do get a nice sell-off, maybe we get a sell-off down to 47s. I'm just looking at some very basic, simple support and resistance. And if you do see something, Coach Jay, let me know because I know you're looking at the order flow. Maybe 43s on the extreme side, but somewhere down here, 48, 47 level, if we could get down there and then find that reversal after the 8 p.m. spike in volatility, I would love to get into a long, but essentially maybe just coming into this non-biased. If we have a nice sell-off down, look for a reversal. If we have a nice rally up, look for that reversal. But as of right now, it's 8:01, and we're seeing another spike in volatility. I'm going to zoom into a 1 minute chart, and we'll see what we could come to. Like I said, these lower 40s, mid 40s, 48, maybe 47 for the downside, and maybe we see 53 to the long side. Not sure.
That looks about the range that I would look at. And just a quick update on that NASDAQ. It traded up to 937, which was 2 points away from that order. The order's still sitting out there, but did not trade to it yet.
Yeah, I see that there. It's still they still have it out. They're still advertising. Yep. And we're trading at what, 31s, 30s?
Mm-hmm. I tried to scan the ES down to see if there's anything similar out there, and I don't see anything. 5704 in the ES is 130, but that's not really big for the ES. So Someone wants to trade the NASDAQ for some reason.
Someone just they have their order out there, whatever
Yep.
it is for. It's interesting. Very rarely do we see an order that big at this time of night, especially in the NASDAQ. And then as we're waiting here, you guys don't use fibs, Fibonacci retracements. I used to use fibs a lot, but lately you get to a point where you get used to them, and I'm purely a technical trader, and fibs do come into play every once in a while. I'm like, okay, this looks like a fib level. I'll throw a fib on there. Very rarely do I do it though. Do you ever use fibs, Coach Jay?
I don't. I just look at highs, lows, and midpoints of candles. So all my fibs are
Fair enough.
just 50%.
Yeah, fibs are a really good tool. I used to
They
use them
are.
a lot, and it's just I got very used to using them and noticed that price action is more dominant in the way that I look at the market in terms of just, hey, if we have a sell off, you could relatively eyeball it, right? Is it about 50%? Is it 38%? But
Yep.
fibs can be a very useful tool in helping a trader understand where we're at. Just watching this, seeing if we could get this sell off. We're back down to 55.49s, and NASDAQ hasn't moved much. I have it over on to the right side, the right hand side of the screen. We could watch that 250 order. There's a question for you, Coach Jay. What do you use to look at order flow or bookmap?
It's a good question. I just use the DOM and time and sales. I've used Bookmap before, but there was just too much visually going on the screen for me. So the way I learned how to read order flow is time and sales and the DOM, and I'll use a volume indicator. But if Bookmap makes sense to you, I know a lot of traders use it. Rips uses it. I think Nick for a Tick uses it as well. It's a great tool. It's a visual representation of the markets. To me, it was just too much going on.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And sometimes there are very, very many tools out there. There are very, very many. There's just so many tools out there that are very useful, depending on how you trade. It's just the matter of which tools you like. Does it fit into your trading? And the best thing I always like to tell traders is, if there is a reason for it to be on your screen, keep it there. If not, take it off. You could see I do not like to put anything on my charts. Very rarely do you see me with anything on my charts other than the lines that I draw or the support and resistance that I personally draw. I love simplicity. The less that I have to look at or think about, the better off I am. Whether that's just simple lines or fib level. I went through all of it, Coach Jay. I think I remember you telling me that you have too. I think traders go through that process where they try everything out that's possible, every moving average, just everything. But narrowing it down just to the basics. I know there's a lot of traders during the day show, all roads lead to VWAP. VWAP is a very, very popular one, and something as simple as that could be very powerful. There's power in simplicity.
I agree. I like most of the things that I put on my charts, and I'll use VWAP. I like most of the things that I put on my charts to be something that I put there, right? Because at some point that level made sense to me, and a lot of times I won't clean my charts, right? I won't delete drawings. But if price comes back to an area that I marked out, at some point it was important. So then that's just a visual cue for me to say, hey, look at this level again. And try to keep it pretty simple and go from there. It's about what makes you get into a trade.
Yep. Whatever helps you manage your trades better. Focusing primarily on risk, right? I always like to think about the risk side first. Like, if I can manage my risk better using, this tool, then yeah, of course I'm going to do that. We're starting to sell off. We did spike down to 25.48. We are about 6 minutes after 8 p.m. We still have a few more minutes left to go, and not seeing too much in terms of volatility. We got a little bit of a volatility spike from basically 25.50s down to 25.48. I would like to see a deeper break, maybe down to the 46.45 level, maybe even 47 on the shallower side, and then we take that reversal but we still have 4 minutes. Last night, it was right around the 10, 11-minute mark after 8, and then we were able to take a reversal. Last night, it was to the long side. We rallied up, and then we took a reversal to the south side, and we ended up getting out at a really nice level.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like right now where we're at, there's a case to be made for both sides.
Fair enough.
Especially being right around that 25.50. I could see this selling off, and I could see this bouncing from here as well, and it's which one is the market going to do?
Yeah, and now when I talk about, like, we're going to wait for the initial move and then the reversal, we're going to wait for the market to tell us when it's trying to turn around, and we're not just going to – I just don't want to buy it as we're selling off. Like, oh, we just dropped 5 ticks, then just buy for no reason. I used to do that a lot when the market – I mean, especially when I'm trading the New York session. In the NASDAQ, I look for areas like a support zone, and we sell off into that zone. Then, of course, yeah, I will be okay with building a position in a zone as long as we have a stop loss and we know the risk. It's paid off lately. If you're trading the NASDAQ, buy wherever you want in the NASDAQ, and it's been working out.
All right. Not seeing too much on the books in gold at 25.47.8. There's 25 contracts sitting there. I can only see 10 up and 10 down on gold right now, but 25 contracts is a decent amount for this time of day. I think I remember one of the sessions we got on here, you were in, I think, 30 contracts in your live account in gold, and you were the biggest order out there.
Yeah, that was weird. I stopped trading my live account in the afternoons, noons in stream. Streaming is so difficult. Like, one thing is during Topstep TV when someone else is running the charts and the shows, and another is when you're running a stream altogether. And you're starting to know it, right? Because you have you have your at the buzzer after the close. What is it? 3:15 p.m. And it's difficult trying to focus on this, trying to focus on the chat and the questions that's coming in, and then you see that some traders coming in here, trade a live account, trade an XFA. I'm like, kiss it. Yeah. I'm not going to sit here and risk my money trying to juggle 10, 11 different things. It's a lot easier to do it maybe when I'm by myself and the markets are slow and we're already done with everything. A slow markets trade is a lot different because I could sit here, I could break it down, and we could do that again tonight where I could place a trade knowing it might not even get filled tonight. Versus like the New York session when all I have to do is talk and trade and hang out with the guys. And it's a whole lot easier when you have the team managing all this stuff behind me.
I definitely agree. And my segment, the markets aren't even moving, and there's still a lot going on, right? I'm analyzing the charts and making sure Coach Paul looks good. We had him on today. Everything went well. Making sure I do any transitions. I'm looking at adding a soundboard to make it entertaining for all of you. But there is a lot going on. I'm sure you could have added another screen just to run the stream, Dakota.
Yeah, I have 4 monitors, and I'm using all 4 of them. I have so much going on. I mean, we're sitting here watching gold and, trying to do everything, and then, having that expectation from a lot of people saying, trade a live account, trade an XFA. It's like, when I feel comfortable, I will. Until then, it's more about teaching. It's more about answering questions. It's more about helping, because we want to show how it's done. And we want to answer questions and get this. But we are coming up right at 10 minutes. So let's see if we can get into a reversal. Let's see. I got to make sure the DOM is synced. I've been watching that 250 lot order, and it's still there. 250 lots in the NASDAQ has not moved. So let's see if we could get into a trade here on gold. 10 minutes too. Let's see if we get into a reversal. We did see some buyers. I'm going to try and get into a long.
Yeah, we came right down to the low of that candle we pointed out before, 25.47. We didn't hit it exactly, but a little bit of a bounce there.
We did get a 3-bar reversal. Oh, it didn't get me filled. Let's see. I had an order to buy limit at 48.1. 48.1. The 3-bar reversal was at 48.2. Did not fill me. Is it gonna run? Was that it? Was that it? Was that?
Let's see.
See, this is why it's so hard to trade during that. Even in a sim account. Look at this. Well, we'll see it. We'll see if it will give me another chance. We'll see if it will give me another chance. Freaking markets. Let me get this so we could see it a little bit clear. All right, come on. Let's see if it will. There we go. I got filled. Right now, risking that low, risking about 11 ticks. Risking 11 ticks. First area I see is back to the highs. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and risk 15. I do see this area of support and resistance that we made during the afternoon. So risking 15 ticks. The first take profit I'm seeing is right back up to these highs. Risking 15 to make 26. And I'm going to be okay with adding again if we do show some more support. And then continue to tighten up. So I'm going to go ahead and add a buy stop right at the high of this. Oh, it looks like it just filled me into another one. I click buy market. Oh, well. And we'll see. And I'm going to go ahead and start. And every single night, Coach Jay, we've been doing journaling.
Yes.
I've loved it. I've got so much in terms of positive feedback. Being able to take a screenshot, do it in a journal. We're all about, it's about improvement, process over profits. The more we can find and do to improve ourselves mentally, emotionally, and then from a system and a process into trading these markets.
Yeah, I think that journaling, kind of segment that you do is great because you're showing how to journal daily, right? Where you're taking the same trade setup, and that's what we want to try to do is take repeatable trade setups. So when it happens in real time, you can take it. For example, the gold just came down to a level that we talked about potentially taking a trade. But from a volume perspective, I didn't see what I need to see in order to take that trade. Dakota did. He took it. I didn't. And that's based on measured executions in the market, right?
Yes.
Is it a trade that could work out? It could work out because it's in his playbook. For me, from a volume perspective, I didn't see it. And that's just what I've measured. But find what makes sense for you, what gets you into the markets, and go from there.
So we're journaling this. It was a reversal trade right at 10 minutes. We came in here with a game plan just like last night. We'll see if it's going to work out or not. Taking the reversal right in that area. And we will watch and see how this plays out. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I have this in there, my first entry. And we will let this play out. Sometimes it's very slow. We've been even talking about time stops. Do you use a time stop, Coach Jay?
I do, yeah. Maybe not so much for slow markets trades where I try to put something on and just live with it. But during the New York session, I will 100% use a time stop because I'm looking for volume momentum to push me in a direction that I think the market's going. And my trades are based on that. So if it's not happening, then I have to wait to see a higher potential time for that volume to come in. So yes, I will use time stops for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, and it depends on the trade for me. Like sometimes I will if it's a breakout trade. And okay, I just got into my third one, and
nice.
So it triggered me into 3. So I'm gonna go ahead and put my second entry right here. And just gonna reiterate for everybody, this is purely for educational purpose, not a signals class. Not a signals. Come on, guys. Everybody, you should know that.
Yeah, if Michael is still here, I saw Michael very excited when you started the segment. He's like, yes, it's the signals class. Michael, this is not a signals class.
And there's Hogue in the chat. Time stops for breakout trades. Yes, 100% Hogue, I agree. That's the only time I really like to use time stops. It's like if it's going to break out, to me, a breakout is it's going to go now. And if it doesn't go now, then we're just out of it. I'm going to go ahead and move this stop loss. We started to, kind of slow down a little bit. So now I'm only going to be risking about 14 ticks. Still looking to make 23. 14 for 23. I'm going to go ahead and take off the take profit because I'm going to scale out of this as well if we do start to run up. So risking 14 ticks. The first take profit is going to be around, 25.51. I'm going to go ahead and put that there just as a marker. That's right around what? What did we say? 23 ticks. So 23 tick for the first take profit. And then, as if we do, this is just doing, we managed our risk. Risk was number 1. And if you notice that, everybody, and maybe you could talk more on this, Coach Jay, is is the first thing we focused on was risk. Where do we put our stop loss? How do we manage the trade? Focused 100% on risk. And now that we've got that all figured out, now we're going to start looking at some take profits. And now we can start looking at the profit side. But yes, Hogue, when is that signals class?
I think it starts at 7:30 Central Time every morning with the opening call. Great guy named John Hoagland starts off the signals class with all of his levels. Obviously, we're just joking, but Hoag's levels have been amazing.
They have been. Yes. Hoag's levels are one of a kind. One of a kind. So I'm not really seeing another great area for a take profit until we get to maybe 52. So I'm going to go ahead and just mark a couple lines right there. Maybe if we could get to 52, and then I just like to trail the stop. If you guys been watching me, I do my normal stop loss, and then we have an aggressive stop loss. And lately, an aggressive stop loss, just meaning I'm moving it quicker than I normally do, has been more profitable. Last night, I used an aggressive stop loss, and it was spot on. So I'm going to go ahead and get an aggressive stop loss set up.
Shorting in front of that order in the NASDAQ would have been a nice trade. We're almost 20 points away from it.
What's the price of the NASDAQ right now?
25. We just checked. We were just trading under 20, I believe, for a quick second.
Yeah, let's switch to your charts real quick, just briefly. Let's see.
Yeah, so that order was up at 40 when we first saw it. So we're about 18, 20 points away from it right now.
Yes, nice.
which a lot of times we've seen that lean trade work out a few times, and the lean I'm talking about is you see a big order out there, kind of like we just talked about the market being scared to trade or not having enough volume to trade that order, and then going in the opposite direction.
Yes.
That really is a nice trade for now because we know that overnight is a lower volume time, or during this Asian session, London session. So not seeing the volume to push through it gave us a really nice opportunity there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And that's something to be said, right? Wow. We see 250 lots here in the NASDAQ. Yeah, and maybe Hogue, this is, since you're here, I want to pull it up. If Hogue's listening, maybe this is something you could comment on tomorrow or later. Is that 250 contract still there?
248 at 939.
Yeah, there's 248 contracts here in the NASDAQ just sitting at 19,939. 19,939. It originally started at like 940. Price was basically right there, and ever since that order came in, we've just been selling off, and we're sitting right all the way back down to 926. It's going to be interesting to see how long this order will be. Of course, I'm not going to be staying up, but we'll be able to go back and look at the timestamp to see if the market did come up, and maybe Coach Jay, you'll be able to see whether it's filled, right?
Right. Yep. Looking at time and sales to see if they trade it out, if and when we do. And if not, I'll just look at, the volume at that price, and it'll tell us.
Nice. Makes sense. We're starting to push here on gold. So far, so good, right? We had the plan going in. We said right around, look at how beautiful that was. We came and said, we're going to wait for the original move. 10 minutes after 8 p.m. Central, we're going to look for a reversal. Sure enough, 8 p.m. started. We seen that spike in volatility. We started to sell off. And right at 10 p.m., we got that reversal. We did the same thing last night. Like, how about that?
Patterns are patterns.
That's pattern's a pattern. Like, regardless of what's going on behind the scene, if it works, it works, right? Simple, straightforward. That's it. That is it. Now I'm going to go ahead and get back to the gold so we could manage this gold trade. I just love this. This is why I love trading. Now the question is, do we have a time stop? I think we could say, and maybe we could do an example of a time stop. To me, maybe we could do a time stop at, what do you say, 8:30 Central. To me would be a fair time stop on this. And like I said, we're doing all of this so we could journal. And we, very much like you build a strategy, what's the best way to trade? How can I improve? Do I use an aggressive trailing stop? Do I use a little bit more of a loose trailing stop? Do I use a take profit? Do I use a time stop? All of these questions I get every single day. You can do this in a demo account, and you could put this same example. You could say, what would have happened if I used a normal stop? What would happen if I used an aggressive trailing stop? What would happen if I don't move my stop? What would happen if I use a time stop? So you can do this. I've been doing it every single night in terms of like placing a trade, in a demo account, because every single night I want to place a trade. If this was in my live, most likely every single night there will not be a trade. There wouldn't be anything to talk about. We've seen that in Power Hour, where real trading, it's boring as heck, but it's not entertaining, it's not fun, and it's very hard to teach if there's not anything going on, where it's like, hey, I want to show you guys how I do this, but I'm not going to sit here on camera and we're going to watch the markets for 3 hours and not even place a trade. So we're going to do that. We're going to see these different examples. We've been doing it every single night, and then we take a screenshot and then we put it in the journal. And then when we go back, I always say a picture is worth 1,000 words. Why type out a paragraph on something you could explain by this picture? Because trying to explain this by typing it out, saying, 8 p.m., we waited 10 minutes, and it's just a long. For me, I look at a picture and I say, wow.
You can see everything.
See the candlesticks. You could see everything, and it's just so easy. I mean, same reason why someone would like a picture book, right? I wish this series 3 had pictures in it. I've been reading it, and it could be boring. I've read it once.
I think that's
the
an
only pictures
understatement.
that are really in it are some technical analysis and some tables with that. Yeah, it's fun. Have you started reading it, Coach Jay? Have you?
I have. I have not read enough of it, but I have started it. I opened the book. I'll say that much.
You've opened the book. Oh yeah, I'm going to show you some pictures that in it, and it will be exactly what I mean by a picture's worth 1,000 words. As we're waiting for this, and you know what? I'm actually seeing a great area to move my aggressive stop loss. So right there, we just went and made a nice little pivot low. So I'm perfectly fine moving this aggressive stop loss, and it looks like it's going to be minus 2 ticks now. We sold off. We found some buyers right there at 48.4, and to me, that is now a pivot. So aggressive stop loss has now been moved up. So let's see if I could find some pictures in this book. I'm sure everybody in the chat sees this book. They see the outside of it, but they never get to see the inside of it. Here's the pictures I like, right? Some very basic technical analysis. It might be upside down for you, but yeah, you can see those pictures. It's fun. I mean, it's pretty cool that this is in a book to go take, and this is the technical analysis that I love and do.
Yep.
And so this was a little bit on the easier side going through this chapter from the pictures.
Got a question. What book is that?
This is the Series 3. The Series 3 book. We're all here at TopstepTV. Everybody who's on the show, we are planning to take the Series 3. I'm getting my test booked. I'm probably going to be taking it. I wanted to take it by the end of this month, but I've been so busy with everything that's going on. And most likely it's going to be the beginning of next month.
Sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ordered it online.
I've been getting every question right during the day on the Series 3 pop quiz, so I think I'm ready.
It's been nice. That has been
I think
nice.
I'm 5 for 5. The last 5 questions, I think I've gotten them all right. So I looked at the book and I retained enough information to get Jack's questions right. So I think I'm ready.
Perfect. Yeah, I've just been reading this book. I've read it once, and I'm just going through and reading it again because I don't want to go through the hassle of retaking a test. I know you only have to get a C, like a 70% or something, right?
Yep. Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
2 segments. You got to get 70% right in both of the segments, something like that. MP knows, he passed.
C's that get degrees.
Right.
Yeah. I was explaining that, and it's a reality. Sometimes whether you get an A or a C, you still get that same exact piece of paper. It
Right.
doesn't say anything else. But here we go. Let's see. We might be getting stopped out on the aggressive stop loss for -2 ticks. Let's see if it does. We are 8:26 p.m. Central. Okay, stopped out. Aggressive stop loss. So aggressive stop loss -2 ticks. So 2 ticks on the aggressive one tonight. We're going to keep track of that. And then we'll see if the normal stop loss will be stopped out. But not too bad. Risking 14 ticks, and then we're able to tighten that up to -2 ticks in order to be looking for some of these bigger profits. And then as we go through and do analysis on some statistics tonight, some trader statistics, you guys will see there are a lot of really great traders with good risk rewards, and they're only winning 30% or even less than that, and they're making great money.
Managing the downside.
Yep, it's all about risk.
Dakota, I had some questions. We did we've been talking about this Topstep VIP. Coach Hoop and I did a session with some of the VIPs yesterday. What do you say to a trader that says they're scared to take a loss?
Oh, that was a question you had in the VIP set.
Yeah, we talked about it. I thought it was an interesting thing, and I'm assuming there might be some traders in the chat right now that might feel the same way. What do you say? What do you say about being scared to take a loss?
Scared to take a loss. Get used to it.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Everyone's scared to take a loss. It's even scarier when you get to an XFA account, and then it's even more scarier when you get to a live account, right?
Right.
Do it in practice accounts. Do it in a combine. You are going to lose. It's very hard. It's not personal. It's part of the game. I always like to say we're traders. As a trader, one of our tools is the dollar. It's money. Money is a tool. You have to look at it as a tool. And I know humans, we psychologically have such a big connection with money since we were born, right?
Yep.
We're taught at such a young age. When you're little, you're learning how to walk and speak, and we just connect. Hey, money is how we get the things we want. Money is how we get the things we need to survive on. And we build such a strong bond with money. Then when we transition to do something like this, like trading, then we're losing that, right? It's such a hard loss. It's hard to take a loss. It really is. But the more you get used to it, the easier it is. And Steenbarger, that was on Tuesday, man, rewatch that if you haven't. He's such an amazing guest on Topstep TV. I'm glad that we've been able to have him on here. Trading psychology is 90+% of trading.
100%.
Yeah, only gurus never lose.
To quote the great philosopher Jermaine Cole, if you're scared to take a chance, how the F are we going to get rich? And that is a very, very brief way to put it, but you have to put on risk in the markets in order to make them. And I think we've seen some traders say in the chat also, if you're scared to take a loss, it's probably because you're over leveraged, right? You have to get comfortable saying, you know what, I'm going to put on this idea, and if it's wrong, it's wrong. Hogue said, you can't take it personally. And I think that's a lot of times what happens where we want to be right. Sometimes being right can keep you from trading well. So keep that in mind, get comfortable with your losses, learn how to lose well, and then we can focus on the upside.
Yep. And then we just got time stopped out at +7 ticks.
Okay.
Yep. So +7 ticks on that time stop. I'm assuming that we closed it right at 8:30 p.m. Central. So right there, time stopped 8:30. I'm going to go ahead and delete that line. So +7 ticks. I did move the normal stop because we made that pivot right there. Still risking 5 ticks. So I think this is a good example, right? There's many different ways that we can manage a trade once we're in it. We just got stopped out. And take a look at that. Multiple ways, right? We could all get in at the same time, but if we used a time stop, we would have made 7 ticks. If we used an aggressive stop loss, we would have lost 2. My normal stop loss -5, and then maybe we didn't even move our stop loss and it's still down here, and we could say this could be a let's say normal stop loss, or we could even say this was a loose stop loss minus 15 ticks. So there's so many different examples. I think this is a key reason to be talking about, sometimes it's not the strategy. We could all manage a trade so differently, even though it's the same exact trade, right? Somebody could have gotten this and they got timed out and say, hey, I made money. That was a great trade. I made 7 ticks. The other's like, oh, I lost minus 2 ticks, basically a scratch. Other trader who kept the stop loss there, he's like, dang, I just took a 15 tick stop loss. And then maybe there's a trader that's still holding, and if you let this thing run against you, if we do start to sell off, then there's the same trader that got in at the same price who blows an account, right? So if 50 different traders all get in at the same price, all 50 traders typically have the same result, unless it's me and Hogue doing the reversal challenge on Friday. we were spot on to the penny for the first half.
Yeah, you guys were. You took the same trade right away, and what was crazy about that was the exit, right? You both exited at the same time, got the same exact exit.
Yes, to the penny. Yeah, that was interesting. So, all right, that was the trade. And now what I'd like to do, just go ahead and take that screenshot. So download the image, take that screenshot, go over to the performance statistics, and we'll go ahead and do that as a journal. So today we go here, add the journal, and then we have that beautiful thing where we could add the image. And let's go to downloads, bam. And this is what I mean. A picture is worth 1,000 words. You could go to your journal, look at the picture, and say simple, easy, first entry, second entry, and bam. That quick and easy. Other than that, let's thoughts on that whole process, Coach Jay. Like, how do you feel about that?
It is, I think, the way we should make most of our trading decisions, where there's a planned entry, there's a planned exit. Like you mentioned, the risk was defined before you even put the trade on. And what I really like is adjusting the trade as it's going and seeing how that works, right? Mm-hmm. We can put a trade idea on, and sometimes the market can present money or present a profit to a trade that's ultimately not going to work out depending on how you manage it, right? I think what we want to try to do is make as little trade entry and exit decisions as possible and make trade management decisions. And the way you're journaling this is how to manage your trade, and the best way to manage it. So I love the process. It's something that we have to think about if we were trading multiple contracts, scaling in and out of position. So great stuff.
Awesome. Let's move on. NASDAQ, we're starting to sell off. Is that order still on the books?
They are still sitting there.
It's still sitting there, and we're starting to sell off. And it's looking more and more like maybe we just accept right back down into this range. Maybe we could start seeing some and I'm just talking overnight. We do have some big news tomorrow, but if we're playing a range, then yeah, very realistically, I would like to see maybe we see NASDAQ rotate back down to 19,800. So that being said, let's go ahead and talk about a slow market concept trade. And I've been talking about it for this past week since the market's been a little bit better. And let me know if you have any questions, Coach Jay. I'm going to try and briefly do this and show traders how to take it on Topstep X because I'm continuing to get used to it as well. But slow markets, this is how I learned to trade. This is one of my favorite ways to trade is to place a trade, hold it overnight, whether it gets triggered in. Maybe it doesn't even get triggered in. Last night's trade, I was looking to get in short. It did not get triggered in. I woke up this morning. It didn't trigger in. I closed it out. Today during the New York session, it looks like it would have got triggered in and not filled. But let's go ahead. I'm liking this one that I'm seeing tonight. I love to use orders like a sell limit, buy limit, sell stop, buy stop, and then let the market trigger me in while I'm sleeping. A lot of times the market doesn't really even trigger me in. I'll wake up, I'm either triggered in and I'm still in the trade, or I'm triggered in and it's hit my stop loss take profit, or it hasn't triggered me in yet. The one that I'm liking right now is actually a short in the NASDAQ. Looking for a short and a move back down. And so the way I like to trade this, I'm going to jump over to micros, because micros, and going back to that question you asked me, is how do you get used to taking loss? Scale down, right? Maybe jump over to micros. For me, it's easier to take a loss when you're sleeping than it is when you're watching it go against you.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Let's review this. I'm going to go over this one. So the area that looks good to me is if the market could return back down towards this 800 level to the bottom of this zone. And so for me, that looks like a good risk reward. If I would be able to get in short up near the top end of this range, and then I could put a stop loss, right above the zone, and I could have a take profit down here, let's say right at, just for example, let's say 800 even, then to me, that's a good risk reward. And the question is, how much are we willing to risk? And it's like, oh, you're gonna look to have a 50-point stop loss. I'm like, yeah, 50 points is 50 points, but it depends on how big of a position size you are on, right? If you're trading micros, 50 points is only $100, and that's really, depending on the count size, not that much. I'm looking to risk $300 to $400 per trade, so I could trade 3 micros on that. So what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and see if we get into 3 micros. I like this trade. We're right here right now. So I'm going to go ahead and, short 3 micros. We're going to be risking, let's go ahead. I'm going to show it, for example, we're getting back. We're starting to sell off, actually.
Yeah, we are.
Let me walk through this trade again. Maybe I don't want to chase the market, but let's see. I want to talk through this trade a little bit more.
It's in a great area.
It is in a great area. It was a great area up here as well as we're starting to sell off. Now we're getting worse and worse and worse now that we're missing it. But let's walk through this. Maybe we do a limit order. I'm just going to go through this as an example. So let's say we want to sell 940. I'm going to do round numbers because it's easier. And this is an example. Let's say I want to put a sell limit at 940. I want to short 3 micros at 19,940. My stop loss I want to be at 19,990, and then my take profit I would like to be at 19,800. So nice round numbers. So I'd be risking 50 points on a micro. That's $200 or $100 per contract. And since I'm going to be getting into 3 micros, my total risk on this is going to be $300. So my risk is 300. My reward would be 140 points. 140 times 2 is 280. 280 per contract is, here we go. 280 times 3. So my profit would be $840. Risk 300, reward 840. Did I do that right, Coach Jay? I think so.
Sounds right to me.
So I'll go over here and I'll do my risk is going to be $300. My profit is going to be 840, and that is it. So risking 300 to make 840 over here in Topstep, automatically apply, click on save. And so the way that this is set up, now I always encourage traders in here, this is not a signals class, but if you would like to follow along in a demo account, then yeah, I find it useful, just repetition, learning how to do it, getting used to it. So what this means is if the market rallies up and it gets to 940, I will get triggered into a short. Then a stop loss will be active at, $300 from that, which is going to be at, 990. And the take profit will then be activated at 19,800 from the settings that I've put on here, 300, 840. And then if I wake up in the morning, I know the results, right? There's nothing that's going to be out of surprise, maybe a little bit of slippage. I see slippage in my live account all the time. So as of right now, if I was to turn my platform off and go to bed, this is the way I love to create the trade, Coach Jay, where what could happen? Well, the market could sell off and I don't get triggered in. Great. No big deal. Market could rally. Then it does trigger me in. And then I know the results. It's either going to be going up, I lose $300, it's going to sell off, make $860, or I'm going to be somewhere in between. And then when I wake up, I can make that decision. The one I did take yesterday did not trigger in overnight. I woke up, it was still the order was still in there. I just closed it. When I wake up and nothing happens, I just close the trade. So I'm going to leave this on here overnight, guys. Tomorrow we could review it. We do have the news I want to make sure that I wake up before the news, set my alarm clock. I had bad experience before in the past with sleeping in. Yeah, so I'll set my alarm clock before the news event. I'll wake up. If I'm in a trade, I'll close it out before the news. If not, then it's either hit my stop loss take profit or it did not even trigger me in. And
I got a question for you on
yeah.
that. With canceling the trades, let's say the market stays in this area, right? Where I can understand canceling the trade if the market sells off and you wake up tomorrow and the move already happened. If you woke up tomorrow and the market's still within 10 points of that trade, do you still like that trade idea if the move hasn't happened? Or do you say, you know what, we're moving into a higher volume New York session, things might change, and then I'll cancel it from there?
Correct. Yeah. So when I do my analysis every night or at night at this time of night, and just to give you a little bit of backstory, Coach Jay, is I do this. I had a part-time job. I was going to college, and this is the time and how I learned how to trade. And so it'd be just a couple hours before I go to bed, whether it's this time, whether it's a little bit later. I'll do my analysis. I'll set these trades up, and then as soon as I wake up, any orders that were not triggered in, I just close and say, okay, my analysis was over. Sure. I don't want to hold anything during the New York session when there's news coming out. Anything, obviously anything can happen overnight. But as soon as I wake up, I always try and wake up before any of the big news events. I close out all of my pending orders. If I'm in a trade, then I'll make a decision. So for example, if I wake up and I'm in a short and the market's somewhere in between, then I'm okay with making a decision. I'm like, hey, you know what? We're still in this range. I'm going to go ahead and keep this on. Maybe I make the decision to move my stop loss tighter. Maybe I move my take profit tighter. Then I can make that informed decision once I wake up, depending on what's going on in the markets, depending on if there's news events. But if there's any orders that have not been filled, I just close them.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Thanks for that.
That being said, so I'm going to leave this on. Like I said, this is my demo account. This is for us. This is basically my slow markets demo account that I'm in. This is my coach's account. You know what a coach's account is, Jay, where we trade it. It's there for us to place orders, for example, show traders for educational purposes only. I cannot get funded with this account. And it's something where if I mess up, if I'm learning something like the hotkeys, I don't have to worry about screwing up on it. So I'm going to leave this overnight. This is just a trade example to get used to the mechanism, the mechanics of placing trades and getting this in order. The last thing that we want as traders is to try and place a trade in a live account or an express funded account and then wake up and you have like 15 lots on that you didn't think you had, or it didn't hit your take profit, or just something went haywire. And this is to build that confidence. It is repetition, getting comfortable doing this over and over again. Like Steenbarger was saying, practice. If you're afraid of losing, if you're afraid to leave a trade overnight, the best thing is practice and experience, and then you feel comfortable and confident in the tools that you're using to do so. Yeah. So anyway, that being said, anything on that? I do see that order. Ooh, interesting. Take a look. Oh, that's MNQ. Never mind.
Oh yeah, they're still there. They're still there at 939, 248. Sitting at 939.
939. Why 939? That's just some random price.
Such a random number, which to me makes it a lot more important, right? If we're just thinking about, if I had to trade a bunch of size, I'm probably going to do it at whole number levels where I know more traders are going to be looking to fill those orders. Like you just said, why 939? It's very random. That price means something to someone, or maybe they were just trying to get a fill, right? We did see them move it and chase a little bit. So maybe they just want to get it filled and they don't care about the price. So we'll see if they actually, leave it there or if they adjust it at all.
Yeah. Fair enough. I agree. So let's go ahead and review some statistics. If you will, I'm going to go ahead and take a look. If you have anything else to add onto these markets, I seen some question. Maybe you could answer. Hogs in the chat. 19,935 is 5% off the all-time high. If that means anything. That
means a lot.
That does mean something, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead and talk on that. I'm going to look through some statistics to see if we can review them tonight.
No, that means a lot. We saw, what was it, the 10% off the all-time high. I believe we made it all the way down to 15% off the all-time high in the NASDAQ, and we saw pretty strong market reactions from it. I think initially we got a bounce from that 50, we got a bounce from both, right? We got a bounce on the 10% and the 15% or whatever that low was. And what we said when those prices came up, we're not I think I remember Hogue saying it distinctively on TopstepTV. We're not the only one looking at these prices. And there's not a coincidence that somewhere very close to that 5% order, 5% level, there's a huge order sitting out there. And also, the gap that we talked about in the NASDAQ, where the high of the gap was 19,948, the low was 19,881. That gap is right around that 5% area also. So the market is making a decision here. We're seeing it in the consolidation. It makes sense for the price levels. And going into the rest of the week, we have jobless claims, we have Jackson Hole, we have, in September, big news coming out for the market as well with rate decisions. All of this will be very, very interesting.
Yeah. So let's go through this first one. I shared the link again in the YouTube chat. There's the link. That's Topstep's I have that programmed into my brain. There's Topstep's Discord, my channel. Go in there and share your Topstep X statistics. How to do so? You click on performance stats over here on the left. You click on share, copy the link, and then share that link in my channel in Topstep's Discord, preferably express funded accounts. But let's go ahead and review one, Coach Jay. This trader, he's a new trader, just a few days in his combine. Any thoughts? So immediately, this is a combine account. You're brand new.
You share
looking
my
at this. Yeah. What's that?
Just pull up your screen.
There you go.
There we
We're
go.
good. All right. So brand new trader, Coach Jay. Up $1,300, and it looks like you're in a 50K account. I love to see this already for a brand new trader. This is really, really well, with a really high win trading percentage, a 2.25 profit factor. And yeah, thoughts on this one? I'll share it with you, Coach Jay, if you want to see it on your end as well.
Yeah, share it to me, but just from looking at this does not look like a brand new trader. So great start to your trading journey, if this is it. And it looks really good. It looks like pretty good risk management. And you're up about 1,600.
Yeah, I'm just
About
going through
1,300,
this
yeah.
as well. I just showed it to you, Coach Jay. It doesn't look new. If you're new to trading, keep up the good work. I'd love to see this as a new trader. The only thing that I am starting to see a little bit as I scroll through these statistics is a lot of your losses. It looks like you're holding a lot longer than your winners. The majority of your winners looks like it's under a minute, possibly, maybe right around that 2 to 5 minute range. But keep going at it. It looks like you're looking for that target of $200. You're hitting that target of $200 in a 50K account. So that can be done. I love to see that. And even more so, you're trading micros. It's such a beautiful thing to see, trading micros. That the power of micros is something else. It really is. And then, yeah, I think just overall and great statistics. Are you seeing anything that maybe I don't? As I go through a few different other ones.
So I'm trying to make sense of the longer hold times, but still being able to keep your average losses where they are, right? Where, like you said, you're holding on to your losing trades, Dakota, but the average losing trade is still only $16.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome, right? Where you would expect that if you're holding on to trades longer, they might mean bigger losses, but they don't. So maybe the time that you're entering these trades and, the longest trade times are about an hour, but you're managing risk really well on this account.
Yeah, that's a good perspective, right? Because maybe it's just trades that you're just trying to let run, and then, maybe it turns around and goes against you and it stops you out for a very small amount. So yeah, that's a good point. Other than that, great, solid statistics. Let's go ahead into the next one. This is an express funded account. So a big difference between an XFA and just a regular combine. XFAs, express funded accounts, we can receive a payout once the rules are met. What is it? 5 winning days of $200 plus or more. So there's a lot more pressure in XFAs. You can receive payouts. And so I love to see traders' statistics in XFAs or live. Here's one right off the bat. Immediately what I start to see and what sticks out to me is not so much all the ones at the top, but immediately when someone starts an express funded account, starting in the hole. So it looks like your first 4 days in this XFA was in the hole, and then you just grinded your way out of it. And I love to see that. A lot of times what I hear traders go through is they get an XFA. As soon as they start to lose money, they try and size up, and it just gets uglier and uglier. But you're stuck with it. You've been in this account since August 7th. And you're trading small and making profit. I love to see that. Any initial thoughts, Coach Jay?
Great recovery. Great recovery. Like you said, Dakota, a lot of times we will see those initial days in the XFA be losses, and traders kind of go into the, hey, either I blow it or make a huge recovery. That's not really where you want to be. You want to recover this. So this is great. I do see that you're journaling also. So you're marking down what goes well and what doesn't, which is great. You're using the full features of the platform.
Are you able to share your screen, Coach Jay, on that?
Yeah.
I see your charts, but yeah, while you're doing that, let me speak on that a little bit about this as well. I do like that. Seeing traders journal is something that would make a coach happy, right? Like, look at this. Lots of days, lots of journals. This little symbol means there's a journal. I would love to see this every single day. Maybe you don't have time to journal. Maybe you just put some note. But on top of the journals, look at this, everybody. This is what is more important to me. I know Hogue would love this as well. Look how many trades. 3 trades, 1 trade, 2 trade, 1, 1, 4, 1, 3, 1. That is something to behold. That is a beautiful thing when you're taking less trades. Less is more. I will always say that. I'll continue to say this. The less trades you take, typically the better. I won't say always. I'll just say typically the less trades you're taking, the better it is. You're not sitting there in front of your screen. You're not over trading, and you're also trading micros. Not a lot. Look, not a lot. Looks like 3 micros each time. That's very, very consistent. 3 micros, win or lose. You're cutting your losing days, and you're finishing. You're like, you know what? $300, I'm done for the day. $150, you're done for the day. $86, you're done for the day. Too many times I talk and I see traders who just keep trading until they either hit their day loss limit or they make the $200. And sorry, one more thing, and then I'll let you talk on this one. The fact that you're stopped trading before you get to that $200 mark in an XFA is such a discipline. I love that. You stop trading at 147, 147.78. I don't. Maybe that 147.78 is a special number, and then 195. But the $200 level, you're stopping before that. Even though it's positive, a lot of traders are like, I'm going to try and make that extra $43 so I could qualify for a payout, is sometimes the wrong way to go about it.
I agree with you there, Dakota. Can you hear me? I had to switch over to my AirPods because
I could hear you now. Yep. Are you sharing your? Yeah, you are.
Yep. I'm sharing my screen.
You might have to zoom in a little bit.
I agree with everything you just said. I also
Beautiful.
just saw whose account this was, and shout out to you. I'll call it your name. You shared your stats in the chat so everyone can see it. But Cobra Bob, shout out to you. Cobra Bob is somebody that I've seen join every Topstep coaches classes at some point, asking great questions, going through your trading journey, and it's great to see this kind of trading in this account, and just keep it up, right? Keep it up. There's not a rush to make big money, and you'll make big money trading this way, right, over time, and that's ultimately what the goal is. So, good stuff. Glad to see it.
Yeah, 3 micros a trade. And talking about big money, you've only been in this combine for 4, 5, 6, 7 trading days. That's big money. 7 days, $1,300. That's a good paying job. Like that's a decent paying job. And depending on where you're at around the world, that could even be a monthly salary for some people. 7 trading days, $1,300. Trading 3 micros.
Definitely. Great stuff. Want to go to the next one?
Yeah, let's move to the next one. I don't really want to review any practice accounts. Preferably XFAs. Here's another one. You know what? Nope. This is just 1 day. If you have just one day and you just started, preferably not. It's very hard, and I'll let you go through and see if you could find any of them, but preferably, and I think this is a good point, is I found a good one, Coach Jay. So when should you analyze your statistics, Coach Jay? Not after 1 day, right? 1 day is not a good enough sample size to make any valid judgments. Like, you can't make a trading decision based off of 1 day. You can't do anything. I dare to say a month worth of sample size till I review my own statistics.
Yeah, I would agree with that, where you don't want to, and I think this is a good example. So this is another XFA that was shared in the chat, but you don't want to overreact to any data either, right? You want to give it enough time to know when things are going well, know when things aren't going so well. So I think this is a really good example where this person, unlike the last account that we saw, well, actually, exactly like the last account we saw, started off in a drawdown. But then you either didn't trade for a couple of days, you continue to trade really small. And sometimes that drawdown is the, effect of just trading, right? Sometimes you're just going to have a streak of days where you get something wrong. But you had, 3 days in a row, pretty much 5 out of 6 trading days that are all losses. And we're able to manage that account through that drawdown. And then today or yesterday, able to recover that entire drawdown with a few trades, right? So this is account management to me, where you're not always going to get it right. Ideally, we want to hit the ground running in these accounts and start off with a profit. So, we're building in that buffer, but we don't get to choose when that happens, right? We put on trade ideas, they either work or they don't. And in this case, they weren't working in the beginning, but you did not allow that to blow the account. You waited for market conditions that presented a good trade to you. And that's what we need to do. So I really do like this one.
Yeah. No, and switching back to my screen, when I see, where did it go? Yeah, this one. Account ending 1585. So when I see something like this, Coach Jay, immediately my first instinct, where I see someone's losing, they have a nice little one winning day, and then they're just kind of flatlined. And then you see a really big winning day at the end. First thing I think, I'm like, well, they must have just went for it, right? A lot of traders, they're done. I'm like thinking, well, they just went for it. And then when I went down to this day, where they made that $500, they didn't. It was just 4 micros. That is pretty dang good. And then when I'm looking at this, it looks like you were, shorting the NASDAQ today at 19,900, and you had a beautiful trade. That was one beautiful trade. And it's not a lot of trades, going back to that again, less is more, 4, 3, 13 trades was the biggest. I like this one. The fact that you traded just one time, made $2.50 and then called it good for that entire week. And it's okay to be picky.
What's amazing about that trade? That trade where they made $2.52 was a 3-hour trade.
Really?
Yep. So you just allowed the market the space to work. It must have come back down to your entry. I wish I could see the charts, the executions, to see if there was maybe a spot that you could have taken profit. But what you didn't do is take a loss on that trade. So
stop loss to break even and let it ran.
Let it work. Right.
Yeah. Wow. That's good point. Wow. That's impressive. I love this. And if you guys noticed, Coach Jay and I, we're really liking, and as we go through these statistics, I wish I had you on here every night when I review the statistics, Coach Jay. Look, trade duration, 33 minutes. we don't really get so hyped up about how much money you're making. We're not like, oh my gosh, you're making so much money, you're doing great, or oh, you're losing all this money, you're just horrible. We're really trying to dig into the statistics of saying, wow, this is great. This is one thing I'm really liking. And, something like that where you had one trade, a $2.52 trade, was more impressive than somebody like just risking like 5 contract minis and made like 10K, right? Where it's like, wow, this is impressive to me. Someone was able to put a micro on in an XFA where there's a lot of pressure, right? And have a break-even trade and then call it a day. And to be that only trade that entire week, it's okay to be picky. Some of the best traders that I do know don't even trade some days. Like I said, all the time on TopstepTV, if you guys wanted to really see true, real, pure trading, some of the best traders I know do not trade every single day. So if we had a camera on me 24/7, while I'm in front of my charts, you would not see a trade most of the time. Which is funny. It's funny because I love when traders try and pressure people to trade live or XFA. It's like trade live or you're a fraud. I'm like, well, if I was to trade live, then we're just going to be staring at the chart for the next 8 hours.
Right. Yeah, 100%. You take trades when they make sense. Mm-hmm. I see a comment from David that says, "This is real coaching. Listening to the thought processes from the coach makes me ashamed of my trades." No. try not to be ashamed, right? Where we all make the same mistakes, have made the same mistakes. I think the one thing, if you continue to make the same mistakes, then there's an issue, right? And you have to figure out whether or not you're going to make that adjustment. But maybe if you are ashamed, it's not such a bad thing, right? Because then that means that there's a fix that you need to make, and then you can just focus on making it, right? If we try to act like there isn't a problem, then you're just going to see the same results over and over. So the intent is not to make anybody feel ashamed. It's to just review, look at the numbers, and then go from there.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Coach Jay. And, it's okay to feel ashamed. It really is. Because like you said, I always think of trading and I study a lot of psychology, and it's one of the most important things in trading, to be honest. And this is the realest thing that I always try and think of myself. Our trading strategy, us as humans and from our emotional state, it's kind of like a car. You're driving down the highway, everything's going good, but then you have some type of a check engine light come on, right? And if you don't pay attention to that check engine light, maybe you're ashamed that you forgot to change your oil. It's okay to feel bad for doing something wrong, because if you never did anything wrong, then there's no way to improve yourself. Like, oh, well, it'd be nice if you could do everything so perfectly and maintain this stuff, or not run over a nail that you can't see going down the road. But eventually we run through these hurdles, and you're not $1 million trader. If you was $1 million trader, maybe you wouldn't be in the YouTube chat here doing that. So yeah, it's okay to feel ashamed. I feel ashamed a lot, especially when I'm on TopstepTV. I'm like, oh, what do we call it? Everybody here, and if you guys are new here, I blew a live account the beginning of July. I blew my live account. I grew the account up to $250,000 in 3 months. Live money here at Topstep. And I took $184,000 as a payout. So I grew my account. It was a $150K account to $250,000 live. I withdrew $184,000. I put it in my bank account, and I ended up blowing my live account, which of course, I was already in drawdown and I took it out, but I felt freaking horrible. The fact that I had to go, I'm like, you know what? Screw this. Everyone needs to see this because it happens to everybody. So I got on to Shoulder Tap, if you remember, Coach Jay, with Mick, and just straight up had that conversation. Hey, what the heck? You are an important coach here at Topstep. Why are you doing this? Because what happened was I fell asleep and I did not wake up to my alarm clock as well. And I held a trade through a CPI and it blew past my daily loss limit. When my daily loss limit was 3,000, it was minus, I think, 20K. I'm like, God, man, it was so horrible. So we live and learn. That's the beauty about a prop firm, and learning through this. You get to learn at a very cheap price rather than trying to learn this stuff through your own personal account and blowing personal accounts. I'd much rather blow a 150K combine than $150,000 of my own money or $4,500 of my own money. Heck, it's a $150 combine is not much in comparison. Yeah, it was that was not the most expensive rest I've ever had, unfortunately. I've had some options trade where I woke up and they were really negative in the morning. So
man,
luckily it wasn't my worst. Unluckily that wasn't my worst. I wish it was my worst, but other than that, any final words? We went a little bit over, but I feel like that's okay because we started a little bit late as well.
Yep. Final words: trade well tomorrow. Trade well if you continue to trade tonight. We know we have some news out in the morning during that New York session. You don't have to trade during the news. You can trade right after it and have some great trading opportunities from there. Whatever you do, manage your risk.
Yeah, manage risk. Love it. Until then, I will see you, Coach Jay, I believe Friday morning for Fast Markets.
Yes,
if not, I'll see you guys all in the YouTube chat. So take care and enjoy.